Let's quickly run through the fixtures we have on our hand for this week. And the game starts on Friday. Yes, Friday, 14th of October is the first game of the weekend. Brentford will go up against Brighton and Hove Albion. Brentford need some sort of miracle. They need some victory. They need to start winning games right now. They need a change to their fortune. They lost the last time any Brentford fan to watch. Uh, on Saturday, starting from 12:30, Leicester City will host Crystal Palace. Bournemouth will travel to Fulham, while Wolverhampton Wanderers will host Nottingham Forest, and Everton will do battle with Spurs at 5:30 p.m. That's on Saturday, and then on Sunday, Aston Villa will host Chelsea. Arsenal travel to Leeds United, while at 2 o'clock still, Manchester United will take on Newcastle United, who are doing big things in the Premier League. It's the battle of the fifth versus sixth in the Premier League. That's Manchester United up against Newcastle United. And then Southampton will be up against West Ham United. And then the big one from the weekend has to be Liverpool up against Manchester City. And let's start our game, big game preview from that. Liverpool up against Manchester City. It doesn't get bigger than this. These two teams they've totally controlled the Premier League for about the last 4, 5, 6 seasons. They've been in control. The last 4, 5 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, 2 of them have won the Premier League. It tells you how huge these guys have become, over the years. But then Liverpool haven't really been that team this season. We've seen them falter. We've seen a lot of their players not, performing. Fabinho is not the Fabinho that we used to know. He's totally a shadow of himself. Van Dijk, all of a sudden, has been exposed in different ways. So Trent Alexander-Arnold is even on the brink of missing out on the World Cup, this year. So a lot of problems around that Liverpool team. And then you now look at them against a Manchester City team that has even gotten better with the inclusion of Haaland in the side, and they're playing a lot better than they did last season. Remember last season, both legs ended 2-2. These two guys played 2-2 draw in both legs. But in the last 5 meetings, Liverpool have not been able to beat City. They've drawn 3 times, and City have won 2 times. And those 2 times, they scored 4 goals against Liverpool without Haaland. Now, there's Haaland now. The team looks very good. Liverpool looks like a shadow of themselves. It's going to be. I don't know why I keep thinking it's going to be a walk in the park for Manchester City.
Listen, I wanted to bring my popcorn, to the podcast today, because this is the game, this weekend that you absolutely want to be sitting back, especially if you're a neutral, just sitting there, getting your popcorn ready and just, enjoying the show. Because I think that these two teams, despite the current forms that they have, are definitely going to put up a show. And my only sort of twinge is that I really would have wanted to see Liverpool, the Mane Liverpool inclusive, going against, this Man City team, with Haaland, because I think that, people are not talking about it enough, the impact that Mane has had, leaving, this team. There's something that he brought that has just been lost, that soul that has been lost, in Liverpool's team. So listen, I expect the similar, I expect a high scoring game. I would put City to score 4 goals in this game. I just feel like, City will want to put down a marker, in this game.
City will do more.
Listen, these big games, right? You know that Liverpool are going to rise up to it, right? Emotionally, they're going to be up for the game. So you know that it's not just going to be one-way street. I expect Liverpool to score because, Man City do have, some things that they need to sort out at the back. Yes, so I expect Liverpool to score. And this would be a chance for Nunes to go against, City. I know they had that thing in the Charity Cup, but, that was just, like preseason for me. I wouldn't count that as anything. This is the real test now, for this team. I expect Man City to win. So I'm going to go for a 4-2, prediction for Manchester City. I expect to go from Haaland, as always. I also expect to go from Cancelo. I expect to go from De Bruyne as well.
I think I'm going to be going for a 4-1 victory to City, and is playing right now. The fluidity in the side, Bernardo Silva and Mahrez is not even playing regularly. You know, Foden scoring for fun right now, running into good spaces, behind the defense, and then you expect them Rodri and Rodri. Uh, it makes you think that there is about them in this one, and then the body in midfield for Manchester throw the ball into the box. Haaland will scored some amazing goals that you never saw them, and then you begin to ask yourself that how can they be? Stones is still out. Diaz is fully fit, but a part Ake is doing his bit, but then looked the part. He's looked very to see a world be the defense. I want to. Of course, Guardiola, we know he's going to try and mix a. Man City will just be too hot to handle, for Liverpool. But I just feel like the first, second, everything, and from then on, the doors will just goals will flow in the game. So that's about this weekend. Has to be Aston Villa going up against Chelsea. We don't talk about Chelsea enough. The results, their last game. Crazy enough, the last two times they met Aston Villa last, so they scored 3 goals. They bought in four, in 5, 4 of them. That's a Chelsea side that's on the up.
Yes, most certainly. We don't talk about Chelsea enough, and that's because Chelsea had a very uneasy start to the season. We remember the result against Leeds, which was some out of the blues, they seemed out of sorts, and then they lost their manager, Tuchel was fired. And then you had Graham Potter come in, and you're kind of sort of saying, well, we can pile up the excuses for Chelsea right now because they are sort of in transition and trying to get themselves right up there. But they've just sneakingly been putting performances together, and I think the fact that they've not really been on TV in any of the big spotlight times for the games has also allowed them to go under the radar. But I watched that game against Wolves, and Wolves are a difficult team, to play against. It doesn't really matter, where they are in the league. They're always a difficult team to play, and Chelsea just felt like they were in second gear, throughout that whole game. Scored 3, against Wolves. Broja, scored a goal. Havertz scored a goal. Pulisic scored a goal. And you kind of think to yourself, well, there's still more to come from this Chelsea team. What you would find from a Graham Potter side is a team that is structured. Everybody knows what their job is, and difficult to beat. And I think he's going to bring that to the Chelsea team. So I think it's worth talking about Chelsea now as, heading back into that top 4 space. I think they are on that trajectory right now. It's a real.
They are fourth in the table now. So
Exactly. Exactly. And I don't think that's by accident. I think they're going to be there, for a long time in that position. So I think Chelsea is going to win this game against Aston Villa. It's just a shame, with Steven Gerrard. You kind of want him to do very well, and Aston Villa have kind of been like a draw specialist in the last couple of games. Just hanging in there, and making the game very ugly. I mean, you only need to look at the last game that they played, and that was a very, very ugly game. So I think Aston Villa would try their best to make this very difficult for Chelsea, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Chelsea in this game.
I think I'm going to go for a 3-1, a repeat of last season, this fixture last. No need for plenty analysis in this one. Newcastle United. Newcastle doing the job gradually. Manchester to Manchester City. I'm
So Newcastle is a team that I think they're putting something together. I'm not quite sure that this season is the season that they're going to get it right, but I think that what they're going to do is they need to revitalize their squad. They do have a lot of aging players in their squad as well, and I think that will be something that Eddie Howe will be thinking. What am I going to do for the future to actually sustain this? So I'm going to expect some very, very unpredictable results from Newcastle, especially in games that nobody expects them to do well. They're going to shock a few teams. So when you play Newcastle, you have to be aware, of that, because they're growing something that looks, to be very, very promising for the future. And going to Old Trafford, I think that it would hold no fear for them. I think Newcastle, sorry, are going to go to that game full of confidence, knowing fully well in their last game they put 5, and I don't care, what the opponent is. Brentford, we're talking about Brentford a couple of, weeks ago as being a very difficult team. In fact, when Arsenal played them
yes.
and won 3-0, everyone said that was a great away performance by Arsenal. So I don't, write off Brentford. I think they're going to make some teams struggle. So to go and put in 5 against Brentford, that says something about what you have in your team. So I think this is going to be a difficult game. If I wanted to stick my hat out, I would go for a draw in this game. Go for a 2-2 draw between Man United and Newcastle. But I would not be surprised if Newcastle won this game.
So what is your prediction?
My prediction will be a 2-2 draw.